Welcome to Story Grove, where we share screen-free stories for kids without noisy advertisements. We hope you enjoy. It was a perfect Saturday afternoon. The sun beamed down on Maplewood Lane, a light breeze rustling the leaves, and the familiar hum of lawnmowers echoed down the street. At the corner house, Dad stood proudly in the driveway, garden hose in hand, ready to give his beloved family car its monthly wash. His two kids, Sally and Max, lounged nearby on the porch, eyeing their dad as he whistled cheerfully, spraying down the dusty car. "You know what we should do?" Sally whispered, nudging Max with her elbow. Max grinned. "What?" "Mess with the hose. Dad always brags about how he knows every trick in the book, right? Let's see if we can surprise him." Max's eyes sparkled mischievously. "I'm in." They tiptoed off the porch and snuck around the side of the house, where the garden hose connected to the spigot. Conveniently, their dad had left his toolbox sitting open nearby. Sally rummaged through the tools and grabbed an odd little nozzle attachment Dad had bought months ago but never used. She examined it thoughtfully. "I bet we can rig this to spray something other than water," she whispered. Max's face lit up. "Like what?" Sally winked. "You'll see. Let's start simple." They disappeared briefly inside the house, returning moments later with a large jug of bubble solution they'd used for their last backyard bubble party. Carefully, they disconnected the hose, poured in the bubble solution, and reattached the nozzle. "Ready?" Max whispered. "Why, ready." Back in the driveway, Dad was oblivious, humming away and scrubbing the side of the car. He gave the hose a squeeze to rinse off the soap, and instead of a clear stream of water, an enormous burst of bubbles shot out. Hundreds of shimmering bubbles floated into the air, covering the car, swirling in the breeze, and even sticking to Dad's shirt. He blinked. "What the—" Sally and Max giggled quietly from their hiding spot. Dad scratched his head, looking at the hose, then shook it off. "Must have been soap left over," he muttered, going back to scrubbing. The kids exchanged a grin. "Now," she whispered quietly, "let's turn things up a notch." They dashed back to the house, returning with a bag of ice cubes. Max carefully stuffed them into the nozzle attachment. "Think this'll work?" Max asked, stuffing one last cube in. "Only one way to find out," she said, tightening it. Back at the driveway, Dad grabbed the hose again, adjusting his cap. "All right, rinse time." He squeezed the trigger. Clatter, clatter, clatter. A barrage of ice cubes shot out, bouncing off the windshield, clinking onto the hood, and scattering across the driveway like little frozen marbles. Dad jumped back, startled. "Ice!" He stared at the hose, utterly baffled. "Am I losing my mind?" Sally and Max could barely contain their laughter as they watched from behind the bush. Dad rubbed his chin, cautiously setting the hose down and walking toward the spigot to check it out. "Quick!" Sally whispered. "Next round." They scrambled to prepare their next surprise, determined to make Dad's car wash even crazier. Sally and Max raced back to their secret stash inside the house. They rummaged through the toy bin until Max pulled out an entire bag of small yellow rubber ducks left over from an old bath game. "Perfect," Sally giggled, stuffing as many ducks as she could into a bucket. They hurried back to the hose, carefully loading the ducks one by one into the nozzle attachment. Back in the driveway, Dad stood scratching his head, inspecting the spigot. "Nothing looks wrong here," he muttered. Just as he turned back to the car, hose in hand, he gave another squeeze. Quack, quack, quack. A stream of rubber ducks blasted out, bouncing off the windshield and tumbling onto the driveway. Some landed upright, looking perfectly cheerful. Others tumbled comically down the street. Dad jumped backward, jaw slack. "Ducks?" He looked at the hose like it had grown horns. Sally and Max could barely stay quiet, clutching each other in silent laughter from behind the bush. Dad wiped his forehead. Okay. Must be a trick. I'll just finish rinsing." He reached for the hose again, but Sally was already signaling to Max, time for the grand finale. They disappeared briefly and returned carrying an enormous unopened pack of clean diapers, left over from when their little cousin visited. "You really think this will work?" Max asked. Sally grinned. "Only one way to find out." With impressive teamwork, they rigged the nozzle attachment once more, stuffing in the diapers tightly. Dad took a deep breath and gave the hose one last squeeze. Fwump, fwump! A barrage of white diapers shot out like soft missiles, flopping onto the hood, clinging to the windshield, fluttering onto the roof, and thwop! One landed squarely on Dad's head. He stood frozen, diapers stuck all over his freshly washed car. A perfect white diaper cap perched lopsidedly. Sally and Max couldn't hold it in any longer. They burst from their hiding spot, laughing so hard they could barely stand. Dad plucked the diaper off his head, staring at it, then at them. He broke into a grin. All right, you got me. They all dissolved into laughter as they grabbed buckets and brooms, cleaning up the battlefield of bubbles, ice cubes, ducks, and diapers. Thanks for listening to today's story. We hope you enjoyed it and feel calm and cozy. If you'd like more screen-free, ad-free, and wholesome stories, don't forget to follow our channel. Or hop on over to our YouTube channel for even more wholesome screen-free tales. See you next time.